All right, here's a look at our America's Mattress Live Tower Cam on this Tuesday evening / afternoon. You'll notice some of these clouds popping off. I've pointed this down to the southeast. This is headed towards Cedar Edge, Delta County, Montrose County. That's where the clouds are. That's where some of these mountain storms, these isolated pop-up storms are. We are right now with temperatures slightly cooled at Grand Junction, 89. We're coming off of low 90s today, 92 at Delta, 87 Montrose. As far as high temperatures for the day, well, slightly warmer than the averages. We should be mid 80s at Montrose, 90 degrees at Grand Junction. We knew today was going to be a little bit warmer than not only yesterday, but slightly warmer than the averages. And of course, the same will be said about tomorrow. We're going to add just a couple more degrees to these numbers. We're not going to set records. For example, the record at Grand Junction tomorrow is 99 degrees. Late August, that would be some heat. If you're looking for hotter conditions, you might head out to eastern Utah. But you also have to be careful because the further west you go in the next 24 hours, the more likely you are to encounter storms, because storms are actually working their way towards us from the west to east. But we still have another 38 to 46 hours. 36 to 48 hours before we get into the storms, and that's by the end of this week. So slot canyons, red rock areas, slick rock areas, arroyos, those are all going to be susceptible in Utah to some quick storm drainage. Now, as far as wind speeds go locally, here we are with Delta, 30-mile-per-hour wind breeze. I wouldn't be surprised if the gust goes stronger. Grand Junction was in the same position about an hour and a half ago, where we had no wind, and then we jumped up to the 25 and the 35-mile-per-hour gust zone. So for Grand Junction, that was a direct result of some of the storms that were just to the north of the city, up near the Mount Garfield area. Now we have some storms that were along the I-70 corridor heading southbound about 10 miles per hour over Colburn, and now they got into the Cedar Edge and Delta County area. So that's one of the reasons why our wind gusts have jumped up, almost doubled, only within the last hour or so. And I suspect Montrose will be in line for doubling our wind gusts to the 25 and the 30-mile-per-hour tune as a result of some of those storms moving through. I say the word storms. You should use that term loosely because we really don't have much activity on the hazards page. We certainly don't have flood watch warnings. We certainly don't have thunderstorm watch warnings. We're just looking at some garden variety storms popping up over the mountain zones. We do still have that lingering moisture in the mountains. It's acting on the heat. It's acting on the mountains as lifting mechanisms. High pressure system towards the west. This is the Great Basin area, one of our cold deserts, but this is actually pushing dry air towards us with the high pressure system. But as this continues moving closer to the east, then you get that wraparound moisture. So there's the storms tomorrow afternoon. We still will maintain some storms in the mountain zones, and mostly, though, we will be dry. Late Wednesday, we'll look at storms popping up, and we could see some storms Wednesday evening, but really we're going to hold out for Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon, and then lingering into Saturday briefly for that storm coverage. We're getting into this pattern now where instead of having more days of the week with cooler temperatures and rain, we're going to slowly transition to more days of the week with drier conditions and warmer temperatures, whereas now we're just looking at a few days of the week, 3 of them this week, dry and warmer, and we're going to transition that to the cooler and wetter. Now that's for the month of September, so we're slowly going to phase out of this summer thunderstorm pattern, that monsoon pattern. But as we get today and we get into tomorrow, we'll get these pop-up storms. And as such, we could get some hazards like cloud-to-ground lightning. We could get some flooding, small hail, gusty winds, brief heavy downpours. This will take us through Thursday morning on Futurecast. Still be clear, but after Wednesday night's storm return, Thursday afternoon should look quite rowdy. And then, of course, Friday night, we're going to be watching for all those area high school games. Storms coming off of the flat tops around the Glenwood Springs area. Move through the DeBeck and the Colburn area. We actually had some storms popping off the Book Cliffs earlier today. That was one of the reasons why we had our gust speed up to the 30+ mile-per-hour zone for Grand Junction. One of the reasons why now, as those storms continue moving southbound, while we have the exact same scenario happening in Delta, likely we'll get some of those wind speeds in the Montrose area. As far as official rain, yeah, well, dark clouds over Cedar Edge, maybe some light rain, and you start to see some of those darker colors on radar, oranges, yellows, reds, a little bit more intense rainfall in the mountain communities. But again, all in all, we're going to be dry. We will continue to be dry and warm up tomorrow. Not setting records, but running hotter than the average. And then we reintroduce the storms for the late week period. And then, look, we catch a break through the weekend. Still have lingering mountain storms this weekend. We focus on the temperatures, so it's a slow transition from the majority of cooler wet to what will eventually be the majority of drier and warmer. And that should carry us through September and into October with some drier conditions, ideal for fall colors. But we've had a lot of moisture. We're still in rain deficits. We're going to add a little bit more to the rain gauge later this week for the Thursday and the Friday period.